Welcome everyone to ScaleUpMastery.com, the place for business owners and managers seeking to sustain the scalability of their business through operations excellence. Based on your request, we invite experts in that sector to explore and discuss areas of interest to you. If you have any topics that you think would be interesting, we would be happy to seek out experts in that area and invite them to share on ScaleUpMastery.com. Today, we have with us Deric Yeo, a long-time expert in helping brands grow through franchising. Deric is a C-suite executive with PIE Global Consulting, offering his expertise in the areas of strategic leadership, operational excellence, team development, market entry, and risk management in market growth. If training and development is so important to the success of franchising, why do so many franchisors place such low importance in this key franchise sustainability pillar? Let's hear from Deric and his sharing on why this might be so. Welcome, Deric. Thank you for taking the time to be with us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. We've heard a lot about the success in your work with franchisors, and we really wanted your views on how other franchisors can follow suit. So maybe before we start, you can maybe give us an introduction of how you got into franchising and what was your first approach and which company was it that introduced you to this journey of franchising?
It started unexpectedly when I was actually filling up a franchise development role back then, many years ago. I found that finding the right candidate is very, very difficult at the time. The market was so small and the requirements for this role is very specific. So in fact, the challenge was so significant that I seriously considered that I should be the one applying for that job. I understand that that's a critical need for skilled professionals in this area, especially to help the potential both franchisor and franchisees. That experience actually sparked my passion for more to support a lot of other franchisors in this complex, but I think it's a very rewarding field. That's how I started my journey.
You've actually walked many franchise brands to global recognition and global success. So what do you think contributes to the success of franchisors that you have worked with?
Those that are really successful franchise brands really know their market. They understand what is a franchise system. They have a very strong commitment to their brand core values. They know their brand DNA. And of course, most importantly, they know that they needed to have a comprehensive support to their franchisees. I think open communication is a key. They ensure franchisees have a platform or able to feel connected to the brand and have access to resources that they need to have to run the business correctly. One of the critical needs for every new franchisee that is onboarded to any brand is it's very important that they're being onboarded correctly into the programs, development program, training development programs to understand the brand and also to run the business consistently.
So that leads me to the next topic of operational excellence. This is something that franchisors really need to pay attention to when they start to scale. And one of the topics that you focus on is learning and development. So how does learning and development play out in the bigger scope of operational excellence?
Styling the franchise business or getting potential leads or franchisee to take on the brand, to me actually is not that difficult. For me, in the layman terms, it is the after sales service that is more important and critical for the successes of a lot of brands, right? So I think one of it is the first step, first step after signing all the agreements, payment done, I think is to onboard the franchisee into the brand. Say a robust or very structured learning and development plan, structured program is important to reduce the time it takes for any new franchisee to get onto the business. You know, when they started the business, they have to put in a lot of investment, right? One of it is a rental, for example. They hire a lot of staff, but then if the staff is not ready to run the business, then they will start paying rents. They will get fined from the landlord. So I think to get the outlet ready, the staff must be ready first. So in order to get the staff ready, they have to have a very good comprehensive program, learning program, training program, to ensure that they are able to run the brand or the business correctly, consistently, and gradually. I mean, this will then translate into a strong brand reputation and sustainability of the business in that particular outlets, or and then to a bigger picture in the brand's reputation is maintained.
Would you say that there are maybe two parts of the training that is involved? One would be like potentially the onboarding portion, and then another would be the ongoing trainings that the franchisor needs to engage with their franchisees or even their own corporate outlets on an ongoing basis?
There's actually not just two parts. There's many parts of the learning program that can be has to be imparted to the franchisee. I mean, first of all, first part is to ensure that the brand, the system, the brand, the SOP to run the brand successfully. If it is a F&B brand, the SOP or how to prepare the food is actually the essential, right? But after that, there are more than that, more to that kind of training. They need to know how to serve the customers. They need to know how to manage your business in terms of how to make correct ordering, purchasing, how to do stock receiving. Those are very important. And after that, HQ also need to have, once the brand is stable, the business is stable, they need to have the audit part to come in to look at the auditing in terms of consistency, compliance into the system. So a good training program doesn't just cover the essential part of the day-to-day business, but it's also more to that in terms of customer service, marketing tools, and also how to ensure that the business is managed properly in terms of getting the food costs correctly. If it's an F&B business, the labor cost is planned properly, the scheduling is correct, things like that. So I think learning and development or training program encompasses more than just the starting point, but the ongoing process is also important for the staff to have refresher course. And more so, we know that in F&B or even in retail or in any other industry, the turnover rate can be rather high. But if you have a program that can track, assess, and then give them a career progression in terms of learning and development, I think that will minimize all these risks.
Now you start to get more exciting because you're talking about the multi-dimensions that are needed to equip the team at the franchise level to actually be able to scale with the business as the outlets grow. In your opinion, what is the best way to be able to track the learning and development of individuals within the franchise outlets? Do you have a program that you share with your franchisors?
We always have a customized training program, not just for franchisee, but also for our own company-owned staff. I mean, not just to the franchisee, but to any of the employees that is going to serve the work in the restaurant or work in the centers or the business, right? So in my case, mostly I'm in the F&B. So there's two parts of it. One is to, like I said just now, one is actually to cater to the learning and development of the employees is running the business, day-to-day business. And the second part is to help the franchisee as a brand owner or the business owner to learn how to manage their business correctly. So I think traditionally or conventionally, we always use very manual tracking or printed materials, and then there's different files to different topics. And then we will actually print a lot to give to a lot of franchisees, different franchisees, different stuff. That was a traditional way of doing, but for the past few years, we have started to know that we should be more digitalize what we are doing. Things are moving very fast, and we need to keep track. If it is a manual copy, you can only put a revision number on the file, right? But now, if we have we are now using a digital platform, which is it is actually easing our day-to-day communication. First of all, to the staff and franchisee, we can actually download all the needed training program into the system so that they know they will be triggered and then they need to go in and learn. Of course, they still have classroom training. They still have the physical, practical learning. But then, of course, the theoretical part, we actually put it on a platform so that we can allow everyone to go access to it, even though they are actually far away from us. Maybe it's overseas franchisee, they can also access to that. And we will track how many of them have access, that have learned, and also whether they have learned it correctly, the knowledge is being transferred correctly by looking at their probably small quizzes or tests. Then we will know. Of course, it is not 100% accurate, but then this is something that we will be able to assess. At least there's a benchmarking on how the progression of this new team, for example, is, and we will then be able to do the the practical part more efficiently. So these are some of the things that have changed the dynamic of learning and development over the years, especially in franchising world.
So with these digitalized systems or franchise management platforms, you can also offer certification for the attendees or the students as well, right? And then at the same time, you can also do real life evaluations of whether or not the learners have actually fulfilled the learning criteria.
Yes, this learning management system, the LMS that we are using, not just able to do the training and the learning part, but of course, as I mentioned just now, we are putting it as a progressive learning stages so that every employee will go through different stages of learning from the basic one to the intermediate to the advanced version, so that it will also be used for us to evaluate the career advancement of this particular staff. So you know that in let's say in F&B, the career progression for an employee in the F&B scene has to be very fast. We cannot keep them too long as a crew or waiter or waitress because they will just move. So in order for us to do that, we need to track them. How fast they have learned, how fast they have managed to take on all different roles. Then we can now promote him or her to a bigger role in that F&B scene. So I think this is important because if you talk about traditional way that you have to work 1 year, 2 years, then when you can be considered for promotion, I think it's very different now. The dynamic in the F&B or the retail scene is very different. So with a system like this, we can offer the performance appraisal or review via this system that I can see how much the decision to make this person qualified for a promotion is able to track using this system.
If you have questions for Deric, please go to scaleupmastery.com and ask away. If you have topics you think may be interesting for other business owners, please let us know. And remember to sign up and be a part of our community and get invited to other sessions like this.